What is up, everybody? Welcome to Northwoods TCG here on Tuesday night. Tonight we're going to be talking about what's going on in the Pokemon market. Now, of course, as you see by the thing, I am talking about market crash. Of course, that's going to be for your thumbnail usage. Guys, let's be 100% honest. Pokemon market is moving along pretty well. We're still seeing some really good things. We've seen some retractions in items, but we're still continuing to see improvements. Phantasmal Flames is doing better. We're going to see how it goes through now with the second release of the product coming out. The Charizard X has stabilized. It seems like it's kind of stopped at about $600 pretty consistently. There are some, sales right now for about $469 or $465, and I don't know. It's only one sale at that. And then it's going to go right back up to about $600 currently right now. So we are seeing some leveling of Phantasmal Flames. I was kind of curious to see how this would do with the second release of the product coming out. Of course, that was going to be the real question. And if we go into the other products as well, such as the ETBs, for example, another one, ETBs went down. We're down to nearly $70, just under $80, down around $79. They're now currently back up to about $86. So we've seen them come up as well. Our low point just on the last few, according to TCG Player, was 83, but I'm looking at recent sales. They're around $78 to $79. Go up to some of the other products. We can kick back, look at the booster box. The booster box, we are just getting some more of this product out there right now. And it has been a continuous slide down on the booster box prices, but that's not that surprising when it comes down to the fact that this is exactly what we see on the products on release, especially with more products coming out currently at this point in time. These are absolutely normal for a new set. Phantasmal Flames overall, it's performing as I would have expected in the current market and current what we're seeing currently right now, Pokemon TCG, and how the sets overall are looking and how things are actually progressing right now. So once again, we are seeing things kind of going in the direction that is not surprising right now at this point in time. I think that we're going to continue to see Phantasmal Flames kind of retract up or start to move up in that upward direction as we get closer and closer to Christmas as well. There's going to be an increase in sales now that we're past the Black Friday. We're past the release of this bad boy, the Moltres box behind me. We've had the Charizard UPC. We've had a ton of products all hit the ground all at the same time, and there was a lot of holiday special stuff as well that was rolling out. And these are things that are definitely causing a little bit of a bottleneck in the market when it comes down to people's expenditure. Talking to individuals, even at the LGSs and stuff like that, we're definitely seeing some people just saying flat out just tapping out. Right now, there's just not enough money. People are starting to focus on Christmas gifts for other people and starting to pull their focus away from themselves. And they are definitely getting tapped out a little bit with the amount of product and the amount of stuff that's just been rolling out just continuously in a Pokemon TCG. So honestly, the break from Phantasmal Flames to Ascended Heroes is definitely going to be welcome. And I think that it's going to be really good futuristically for that. Sorry, I sent an email today on my order. Didn't know you received it. I did, and I will correct that. I was going to send that out here tomorrow for you, Battleborn. So I will send out that sleeve of Destiny's Rivals. I did see after you emailed that I did miss that. So I will take care of that for you and get that sleeve blister out there for you as well. So yeah. Anyways, just to go back into the overall market right now, when we're looking at how the market's performing and what we're seeing currently, everything's looking pretty much as I would expect at this point in time. As we get a little bit away from Black Friday, as we get away from all of these releases and get a little bit away from Phantasmal Flames release and the second wave of Phantasmal Flames, I think we're going to see the market kind of continue to move in that upward direction again. I think people are going to be getting a little bit more free money here in the near future. And by doing so, of course, is going to give it the opportunity for people to start buying in, and we'll start seeing some movement, I think, again, in an upward direction. I don't see any major reprints coming. Talking to distribution yesterday, really didn't have any news of anything really major coming down the pipeline. They are saying that there might be some, they're done with Paldean Fates. They don't have any more Paldean Fates coming out that they know of. That was a question that when I was on the live with DJ Poke Center at the end of the night, that did come up in the comment session, is there going to be more Paldean Fates coming? And the answer from distribution is no. As of right now, they don't have anything. And it does make good sense considering that set is about 2 months out from being 2 years old. And right now would be typically the last drop, the last release of product that we should see of Paldean Fates. And then after this, it'll kind of go away from the printing cycle, and it'll start to become one of those items that will no longer be printed by the Pokemon TCG unless they do something for like a holiday special or something like that, which they rarely do. They rarely go back 2 sets or 2 years to do that. I think they're really going to continue to focus on prismatic evolutions. That's just kind of my feeling right now. I don't know for sure if that's going to maintain or if that's going to continue, but I think that that's going to be their number one drive, and it's continuing to be their number one drive. We're still getting more prismatic evolutions mini tins. We just got a bunch of those in as well. Prismatic evolutions ETBs are going to be a Costco special again, it sounds like, so we're going to see more ETBs coming. More poster collections are coming. We got that figurine collection that just got released, and that's running around as well. So there is a lot of prismatic evolutions, and I think that that's actually going to be good for the set long term. When we see these prices drop to the level that we are right now, I think that that's actually going to be really, really good for the overall set itself. It's good to get it in people's hands. So, for example, if we look at prismatic evolutions, ETBs still have not moved much at this point in time, and for good reason. I don't think that the major investor groups are going to allow that to happen. Let me pull this open real quick. Why is it not coming up? But basically what I think we're going to be seeing right now is that we're going to see packs, the actual individual pack price has continued to kind of come down. We were up to about $10 at one point in time here in the last few months. So a high of about $9.80. Currently, prismatic prices aren't at their all-time low in the last 3 months. They were at about $8. But currently, right now, we are at about $28.28. It makes it more reasonable for people to buy that rather than being $11, $12, $13 for those packs. It gives people more of a reason to be able to jump in and move into that a little bit more as the set kind of progresses. And as we continue to get more and more product of prismatic, it's just going to drop that pack price further and further. The only concern is that is loose pack pricing, and loose pack pricing always scares me, especially with a set like prismatic, where people can like weigh out the demigod and the god packs out of there. So there is a lot of loose prismatic packs for sale on TCG Player. I'm not even gonna kid you on that. There are people with like hundreds, like 369 of these three things out there. So basically what they've done is they've taken them out of products, they've probably weighed them, and then they've pulled the god packs, they've pulled any of the heavy hitter packs out of the rotation, and what you're probably going to be purchasing is a lot of dud packs. And that's my only worry with something with prismatic. I would highly suggest not buying loose packs of prismatic. And if you're looking at it from the investment side for the Pokemon TCG, I would definitely be focusing more on the sealed product as well. I think the sealed product is going to do better futuristically just because of the risk of the weighing of this particular set. Granted, people do have short-term memory when it comes down to this. So even though we're pointing it out now and discussing it as a potential problem right now, it doesn't mean in 5 years that people are going to see that problem or remember that that's an issue. And it may turn out okay, but when it comes down to a set like Prismatic, definitely focusing on going into sealed product, it would be definitely a better solution rather than going into the single pack market on that particular set, just because there is that risk that it could potentially cause a depreciation for the packs versus the sealed products. So basically what I'm saying is that if you've got 10 or 9, I think it's 10, if you got 10 booster packs, it's not going to equate out to the ETB. So and you're seeing that right now. An ETB right now of Prismatic Evolutions currently is running, let me just open up the current price, and this is as I always say at the beginning of these lives, these are the prices based on December 9th of 2025. So if you come back to this in 6 months, it will have probably no relevance to the overall pricing in the market at that point in time. But I do want to look at the current pricing today for these particular products to be able to sit here and give you a enlightened view at what we are currently on these things. So if I pull open the late trainer boxes, right now they're $112. Well, if they're going even $9 a pack, let's just say we're at $9 a pack for these, 9 in there. I think there's 10 in these ones. That's $90. You're still seeing a disparity between the packs and the actual ETB. And as the ETB now is getting more, it's dropped again. It was up to about 118, and the packs were actually lower at that point in time. So it's one of those things where you get that disparity when people can weigh packs and can actually get potentially sell singles. It creates that opportunity where people just don't want to buy the sealed packs. I would not personally buy loose packs from TCG Player for Prismatic Evolutions just because I know it's such a hard pull rate that people are weighing packs. They are definitely weighing and not opening light packs because there is no money to be gained in that. And that's a big factor when it comes down to a set like Prismatic. So, once again, personally, I would focus more on the sealed product, such as the, this, what is it, special or super premium collection or ETBs or the tins, or at least buy something that's got sealed product inside of it, 3-pack, those kind of things. Something where you're not having individual packs. I think you'll be happier with the results come 2, 3, 4 years down the road when we get past all of these reprints with the sealed product side of things versus the pack side of things. That's just my feelings on it. Could be completely wrong, but let me know in the comments what you guys think, if that's what your feelings would be. Would you be willing to buy loose packs of Prismatic Evolutions at a high rate or equal to a sealed product for just loose packs, or would you be more skeptical about them knowing the current circumstances of that set? Going into other sets now, we can go back to Mega. Let me pull up all the data on Mega real quick. So we're going to look at Mega Evolutions as well and see where we are currently with the products on that. We did get a couple waves of the booster boxes and those kind of products, so it's really going to be interesting to see how the overall market, or just talk about how the overall market is handling that particular stuff. And I'm going to once again kind of go towards and focus on the sealed product side of things, just because the singles are still too volatile. I wouldn't even be looking at investment in singles at this point in time because the first 6 months are just so volatile. They really haven't found their drop points yet. Even that Charizard X that I talked about at the beginning, I wouldn't be going and investing into it. I'm just giving you a fact that it's kind of stabilized at this point in time. But we could get more product that could completely change that again as well and really drive that price down. If we get a huge reprint again of Mega Evolutions, or there's a lot of products in there, that's definitely going to be a situation where you could drive that Charizard X down again, considering there's not very many SIRs in that set, and that's going to be your primary focus. Out of the 4 SIRs or 5 SIRs that are in that set, the Charizard is definitely not as hard to pull due to the fact of the low quantity of SIRs. So here we go. We're going to go down into the Mega Evolution. So let's just go through the standard products. They do have the Enhanced Booster Box, and the Enhanced, of course, is performing lower than the regular booster box just because of the fact that it got a reprint, or the second wave was the Enhanced Booster Boxes and not the standard booster box, which is just weird. It's still a weird concept to me about the enhanced and the right. Just make them all enhanced or don't. I mean, that's kind of my feelings on it, but it is what we got. Currently, we are still seeing it's not quite at its all-time low here for the last 3 months. So if we go to the all-time low, it was around $255 currently, or sorry, it was about $235 for its all-time low. Currently, right now, we are at about $246 currently for the. This is just a standard booster box, so it has come up and it's been kind of consistent right now at that price since about December, since the first week in December. So consistently, we've been sitting there at that price right now, and it's pretty well where I think it should be right now with the pricing of the market. The enhanced booster box, of course, has done about the same thing, but right now it is at its all-time low. Currently, it is sitting at about $231 for the enhanced one, which gets you that promo inside of it, or box topper, whatever you want to call it. It's actually, to me, just a promo, because when they did box toppers, the box toppers were kind of a medium-sized card, if you remember when Pokemon used to do that. But they are calling it a box topper, but it is still a promo card inside of it, featuring the Bulbasaur, one stamp illustration rare inside of there, featuring the Bulbasaur. So, and it's the Mega Evolution stamp on it for that as well. But overall, the enhanced booster box is definitely performing lower than the standard booster box just because the rate of supply for that particular box. Do I think overall the enhanced might do better futuristically? I think so, because once again, I look at something 5-10 years down the line, and short-term memory says that even though it's the more available product out of the two of them, I think futuristically people are going to start focusing on the promo inside of there versus the ones with non-promo. And that's going to give it the advantage. Same thing with going back to Journey Together. I think that that's going to be an advantage for Journey Together as well, is that with the enhanced, you're going to have that Ends Reshiram, inside of there with the stamp promo. Yes, right now, because of the fact that it's been reprinted more than the standard booster box, I do think that that's going to change, and basically it is going to have it's going to have the advantage of having a bonus by buying the enhanced, which eventually I think will give it more value to it. Right up front, a little bit lower, more reprints, more stock of that one available, but futuristically, people will start to focus on the bonus factor. And honestly, if you weren't here, I'm looking at people that are coming in new to the hobby in 5 to 10 years. They're going to see 2 booster boxes, and they're going to say, why is the one with a promo cheaper than the ones without? And someone that doesn't know the story or doesn't understand that are more likely to probably buy the promo version of it just because they're getting a bonus card automatically by buying it. And that's what's going to, I think, futuristically change that. You got to remember, we live in a hobby where there's constant turnaround. I mean, people aren't always in here forever. People like me that have been here for now 6 years are dinosaurs technically in this hobby. Typically, a TCG, people stay for about 2 years, and that's been a study that was done, and that was done with Magic, and it was done with other TCGs. But typical lifespan of a person in a TCG is about 2 years. And watching at the YouTube channels that we've seen kind of turn around, and the people that have come and gone in this hobby in the last 5 years, even since I've been on YouTube in the last 5 years, it's definitely, I think, a very true statement. There is always roll around and new people coming and going, people leaving, saying their goodbyes, people coming in fresh. So I do think that that's probably pretty realistic. So I think that if you take that into consideration, when new people come in, what they're going to focus on, what they're going to see if they've never been in here before, is going to be a booster box without a promo and a booster box with a promo. And the chances are is that they're probably going to focus more on the booster box with the promo and get that bonus inside of it. So just because it's low now does not mean futuristically that that's going to continue. Going into the other products, which are going to, of course, be I'm going to stay away from the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes. They are what they are. I mean, you really have to decide if you want to jump in on those. They probably will not see reprints of them, and they kind of bottomed out here. So if you didn't know, if you weren't able to get them at Pokemon Center and you did not get them for the Pokemon Center pricing, currently they are down to about $175 right now, which is the lowest that they've been since release. They were at about $400 pre-release. They dropped down to about $223. They jumped back up to $278, and now they've just been consistently going down at this point in time. They finally kind of plateaued where they haven't really had a big change in price. I mean, you're talking a couple dollars in the last 3 weeks on those Elite Trainer boxes. Tells me we're getting to a point where the market's meeting its saturation point, and the demand and the supply is about equaling, which means possibly here in the next couple weeks or next couple months, you could see these ETBs start to move in the upward direction again. Saturation point is good, meaning that we're just finally getting to the point where it's balancing out. Regular ETBs have been pretty consistent. They've been sitting right around that $80, $75, $80. You can get them up for around 70 sometimes. You can get them up to about 85. They kind of vary in that range, and that's what we're kind of seeing on TCG Player as well. All the way since pretty much, let's just look at when it started, about end of October 25th. Since then, they've bounced between about 85 all the way down to $72. So once again, you're seeing that variation inside of there, and that's kind of where the regular ETBs are staying right now. That's the Gardevoir one, and the Lucario one is actually running about $5 more for the ETB, and it's been a little bit more consistent. It hasn't had that fluctuation. Like the Gardevoir has a $15 price range on it right now. The Lucario has really been about a $4 price range. We go from about $85 or $88 to $85 right now. So once again, it's a tighter band, but it's about $5 more than the Gardevoir at its high point. So it's just one of them interesting how tight the Lucario is, but the Gardevoir has a lot of play in it when it comes down to the ETB. Going through other products otherwise all the other products, I mean, we got a ton of those tins, and the tins have finally kind of recessed a little bit when it comes down to price. They were sitting at about $20, even with all that product being dumped onto the market. Currently now they're down to about $15, $14 to $15, depending on the tin art. Sleeve blisters currently at this point in time are also doing fairly well. They're sitting at about $7.50. Pretty standard right now in the current market for what we're seeing. Seems like most sleeve blisters are sitting around that 750 range, 750 to $8 currently. Destin's Rivals. Let's go kick over to Destin's Rivals just to give you an update on that one, since that's. I'm gonna skip black and white just because I I don't have much faith in black and white. I think some people are really gonna love black and white, and I think some people like myself are just not really into it. So it's going to be one of them sets. I think futuristically, it'll probably do all right futuristically. It may not get any reprints because of the lack of demand, which may help it in the long term. But if my worry is that if black and white does, let's just say, get a reprint here in the next 6 to 8 months, I could see that being very, very detrimental to the overall performance of that set, and it's really going to delay the performance attributes of that set, just because of the fact that all that product, black and white, isn't performing heavy now. It's all right. It's holding its ground. It's not falling far. It's being consistent. But if you were to just completely douse it with more product, I feel that that would cause a problem in the investment side, because there isn't a demand for that set anymore. People have moved on from it. They've moved into the Mega Evolutions. They've gone to Mega Evolutions, ME1. They're in the Phantasmal Flames with ME2. They're already looking at Ascended Heroes. And black and white holding its ground, not really going up and down, being pretty flatlined right now for its overall performance. A reprint right now would be very, very harmful to the overall performance. That would be a set that I think, if it were to get even a fairly sizable reprint, something that's noticeable, that gets multiple areas with it available, that I could see that set going down to MSRP fairly quickly. I don't know how long it would stay at MSRP, but I could see it potentially coming very close, if not to MSRP, with one reprint on black and white. Looking at Destin's Rivals. So let's take a look at Destin's Rivals. Once again, Destin's Rivals booster boxes does not have the enhanced version in the Destin's Rivals, so you just got a standardized booster box. I think the last time we talked about it was the first week in December, and it was about $400. Then it kind of bumped up to about $415, and now we're back down to about $400. So it's been one of them sets that's just been very, very consistent now at around that $400 range. It kind of bounces up and down. And since that one big push where it went all the way up to $700 sales, but even TCG Player only shows $455 overall in the average for the sales that day. And it's just kind of dropped back down and been staying right around that $375 to $400. There's been some blips up, there's been some blips down, but it kind of stays in that $25 price range. Booster box is just kind of holding its own right now at that point. Six-pack booster bundles on it are actually a product that's been doing fairly well. It's been consistently going up. It's one of the products that I actually have been holding, and it's a new investment since Scarlet and Violet. I didn't look at it very much in even early Scarlet and Violet. I talked about how I did think that they would do really well, and currently they are kind of showing that in the Scarlet and Violet era. A lot of the six-pack booster bundles are doing fairly well in the market itself. Destin's Rivals since September went from $47 a six-pack booster bundle all the way up currently to about $62, and that's only in about 3 months. So in 3 months, we've seen some really good upward movement and continued upward movement. Even with the reprint that came, it did not hinder those six-pack bundles. They have consistently just stayed right there and continue to move up in price. So six-pack booster bundles doing really, really well. Sleeve blisters is another one, because we did get a new reprint of sleeve blisters, and once again we're seeing $758. So we're basically seeing a lot of these sets kind of falling into that trend right now, where they seem to have consistent sales right around that $750 to $8. And it doesn't matter, which is bigger than MSRP, but to me that's where it starts to kind of hurt the scalpers in a way, because by the time you pay TCG Player 13 to 15% in order to sell on TCG Player, plus pay the materials to ship it, if someone only buys one, unless so a lot of people right now are putting restrictions on it where people need to purchase 10 in order for them to ship. So like at this one, the first one that's ordered, it says here, must order 12 in order to get the shipment. Anything less than 12, order will be canceled. This one, you must order at least 10. If you do not buy 10, the order will be canceled. So there's a lot of things right now that's happening, where they're putting in on the description of these products on TCG Player that they are requiring a minimum sales. And if you get away from the minimum sales ones, then the price starts going to like $9 to $9.50 a piece. So if you want to get them around $7.50 to $8 currently, you have to buy a minimum quantity of them, and that's the way that they're going through it. But there aren't very many left right now at 750. We're going to be going to 850 again on Destin's Rivals fairly quickly, and going up from there. So I don't think it's going to stay down very long. And even with that reprint of the sleeve blisters, I think in the near future, even the sleeve blisters are going to be going back towards that $9 range on Destin's Rifles, unless we get another reprint. Once again, these are all sets that are in reprint. But when I start seeing these market values starting to continually moving up, to me that means that the market is still healthy, guys. We're seeing some good sales. We're seeing consistent sales. We're seeing overall growth in the current pricing of these sets, and that tells you that we still are in a healthy market. It's not a crazy market. It's not a bull run market. It is a normalized market where products are coming out, they're getting released, we're seeing the normal drops, then we're seeing the recoveries, and then we're seeing upward performance on it. We got to remember we are still in the reprint risks of a lot of these modern sets. Everything from Paldean Fates right now forward currently is still 100% in the reprint range, all the way back to Temporal Forces. So the reason we say that is that typically Pokemon will print up to about 2 years of the set's release. Paldean Fates is coming up on 2 years in February. But the other factor about that as well, and why we picked that, is because of rotation of these sets. Or everything from Paldean Fates to Scarlet and Violet base set now will be going out of rotation. And when sets go out of rotation, that usually creates the point where people start to kind of move away from, or Pokemon continues to move away from printing those. They would rather print sets that are currently playable, that people are interested in, and as the most current sets, rather than going back all the way to past 2 years to try and do reprints. We very rarely see reprints beyond the two that are older, for sets that are older than 2 years. So that's definitely a factor to it. Temporal Forces, Twilight Masquerade, Stellar Crown, even Shrouded Fable is technically still in that reprint. Surging Sparks, Destin's Rivals, Journey Together, Black and White, Mega 1, Mega 2, all of those sets are still in play and could get a reprint, and we could get more product than any of those at any given time right now. And Temporal Forces, I'm going to guess, is probably going to be the next one. We just got a grouping of Paldean Fates. As you know, we got Paldean Fates 6-pack booster bundles. We got that Iron Treads premium collection just came out. We've also seen some other products of Paldean Fates kind of roll out, which tells me that's probably going to be the last hurrah. That's going to be the last push that we're going to have for those sets. And then they're going to move on to Temporal Forces, and then we might be seeing some Temporal Forces reprints. Probably more in the sleeve blisters, more than likely. Probably sleeve blisters, maybe ETBs might come back, so we might see some Temporal Forces ETBs kind of roll out, and those kind of products may start to show up. I don't think we're going to be seeing booster boxes of them, personally. We just have not seen very many booster boxes reprints, and if there are booster box reprints, they're very, very small. So that's kind of my prediction right now for what we're seeing on it. And after that, we'll just go to the chat here now, since I got through my ramble. And I just saw a comment, and I'll get to that one in a minute. Jacob just put it up here about what's your take on the PSA drama. I will talk about that here in just a minute as well. So first up, I'd like to thank Jacob for being in here. I see OG Weedle Farm. Thank you so much for jumping in as well. Adaro, thank you so much for being in here. And Battleborn, once again, I already answered Battleborn's question. Jacob says, hoping to get some of the second wave this week. Yes, second wave has been rolling out already. I just got the rest of my ETBs. I just got all the rest of my orders that I knew I was getting. So the allocations I knew I got, I've pretty much gotten. 3-pack blisters have already come. They've already been sold out pretty much. Check lane blisters came in. I've got more rest of my ETBs. So basically the second wave just kind of rolled out, and we've gotten all that product in already right now. So that we're pretty much caught up at this point, and I'm hoping to see if there's more allocations available for some of the Phantasmal Flames. Daro, how's it going this evening? Jacob, very curious to see how the print quality will be for the 30th. Heard the 25th was awful. 25th wasn't bad. We didn't have very many issues with the 25th. The 25th is pretty good. The one that people always pick out quite a bit is the Gold Star Greninja, but that was a promo card, and that's part of the factor as well. Promos, sometimes they don't take as much time on the quality, and so I take that with a grain of salt. The promo Otherwise, most of Celebrations is pretty good. I don't remember any really bad quality issues when it came down to it. It just was one of them things. There was the Greninja Gold Star is definitely one of the heavier performers, just because of the fact that the centering on it was pretty rough. Trying to find one with good centering. That and the Pikachu, the full art Pikachu, was also one that it wasn't so much that it's just a lot of holofoil. So it's a big holofoil card. And when you get that much holofoil, it's really difficult not to get scratches on it. So that's the reason that one's pretty hard to get a 10 in, but the rest of them were pretty decent. I don't remember anything really quality wise that was bad with Celebrations when we were opening it. Jacob says our God Pack's confirmed with AH. So it is in the Japanese. So Dream it is. I don't know if AH. We won't know for AH for a little bit. But we do know that the Japanese set has confirmed God Packs in it. PokeRev, I believe, pulled a God Pack of it already as well, with all the main hits of the set in the God Pack. So yes, we have confirmed in the Japanese. So historically now in Scarlet and Violet, since whenever they get Japanese gets a God Pack, typically the English has also gotten the God Pack. So the thought process would be right now that more than likely we will see God Packs in the English version of AH, but it will not be confirmed for quite a while. We won't know until some people start opening the set and we start getting product available to see if they actually show up. Jacob, I feel like the whole Kabuto King situation could be another top signal that things could crash even more. I think that's another one of those kind of isolated deals when it comes down to that particular situation. OG Weedle Farm, will they start ripping the seals like in Japan? I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see that situation here, and there's a couple reasons, and I've talked about that before. Booster boxes in English are very, very difficult to hold together if you cut the seals like they do. So Japanese are wrapped, and then they're actually in a sealed box. They would have to redo the packaging in the English side of things, and I don't know if they want to go to that extent. They may futuristically if it continues to be a problem, but booster boxes are really the least of the problems. Same thing with ETBs. I mean, they fall apart if you don't. They're not like there's anything securing them together. So a lot of the English products, if you look at them, if you break the seal on them, they fall apart. So that's not like you can sit there and take the seal off an ETB and ship a large quantity of them and hold them together. They're going to just slide apart. So the sleeves are going to fall out. The book's going to fall out. They could fall out and then the thing completely fall apart in the box. So that's a situation that I just don't see. Any of the English packaging really isn't conducive to being able to do that very well. They would have to redesign the packaging in English in order to do that, which means redesign the packaging, redesign the wrapping, redesign the shipping boxes. The redesign starts to go really, really far, and it gets very, very costly. That's why you don't see very many big changes in Pokemon products. Typically, they stay very consistent on their sizing, and that way they don't have to try and figure out, shipping boxes. So it's crazy to think that if you were to sit there and change the ETB in any way, shape, or form dimensionally, they would then have to buy all new shipping boxes to ship to every one of the stores and redesign that shipping box, which means all the boxes that they purchase that are ready to go, probably warehouses full of empty boxes right now, they would have to completely junk that stock and go and remake new boxes to be able to ship that stuff out. ETBs, same thing. If they redesign that ETB to be a sealed box, whether you can remove the wrapper off of it, they're going to have to completely redesign the ETB or the booster box, the 6-pack booster box, shipping box, and that's going to be another cost because they probably got warehouses full of those things. So once again, when you talk about changing dimensions and redoing product, Pokemon doesn't care enough in English, I don't think, to be going into doing that. Japanese is one of them situations. It's not hard because everything that you buy in Japanese usually has a rip tab on it to be able to rip it apart. So even like these wouldn't work. I'm just looking. So for example, if I grab even Chinese, you could sit there and do that. So for example, if you were to take this, and that's why it works, is they've got the rip tab on the bottom. So basically right there, this box is sealed. It's glued shut. So if you pull the plastic off of it, it's still a sealed box. It won't come apart until you rip that tab apart. So it gives it the availability to pull that plastic and be able to do that. A lot of Japanese products are designed like that, and so that's why they can do that. They can take that plastic off when they sell them in order to get rid of that reselling market, but it's not something that's very conducive for like in the English market. It just wouldn't work so well. They'd have to redesign everything. Jacob said we really could see Prismatic hit 70. I don't think you're ever going to see it hit 70. I know some people really have hoped for it. And I'm going to, like I said, my reasoning being is there are so many people invested into Prismatic Evolutions at this point in time. There are so many big people with money that are into it that anything that drops below $100 right now, I think that they would just gobble it up. They would not allow this set to drop that far. I think that they would just continue to put their money where their mouth is and keep this set that high. I don't think you might find it at 90 for a very short time, but I don't think you'll see it anywhere near 70 for a ETB. I think that'll be eaten up so fast, and they will split it out looking for God packs, and they will sell the singles. So if they can get it at Costco at MSRP and they can buy pallets of it, they are going to buy the pallets of it. They are going to shred it down, look for God packs, and they're going to send all the packs out on TCG Player. And if they're even selling them at $7 a pack on TCG Player, they're still making money on them ETBs that they're getting at Costco. So I don't think that you're ever going to see Prismatic get down to $70 or close to MSRP. I think the investor bros will completely prevent that from happening. I mean, I'm an investor bro in a way, but not to the extent that these people are, where they're buying, like people had garages full of Prismatic Evolutions. That's going to be a situation that it is what it is. I mean, they're just going to always keep that product high. I don't think that they're going to allow their investment. Just like anything, it's like people in the stock markets that have a lot of money. If they see a stock dropping below a price point that they're profitable, they'll start to buy more of it to keep that price up. They'll keep lifting that price up. It falsifies the market, but they won't let it drop too far, just because unless the product or the company is failing, then there's nothing they can do about it. But they can definitely then they'll start short selling it. So there's definitely ways around it. Hey, Super Moz, how you doing? 117 Spartan. I always think about that when you do the 117. Master Chief in the house. Gotta change your thing, Master Chief 117. Jacob says could see them ripping seals for the Poke vending machines. Seems like they're more intended for people to open. Once again, I just don't know how you'd ever get the seals off it. You know, you drop an ETV out of an vending machine and it's going to fall apart. So it doesn't really work with English. Jacob, I'm banking on them not reprinting black and white, especially because they are so behind on everything else. And that's something you could try and bank on. Honestly, I think for black and white, the best thing that could happen for it would be it not get a reprint at this point in time. But once again, we are kind of at the mercy of Pokemon, and overall, I think that there's got to be some time. I mean, there's plenty of time for black and white to get a reprint, and you know, I'm gonna open up the let's just say we look at the ETB right now. So an Elite Trainer box right now is $85. Could that price continue to go up to the point where some of the cards are playable in it, and the playability of those cards not being available could be a factor where Pokemon may pull the trigger and do a reprint on it. If you look at the pricing of it, $85, I think it's been $85 since it released. I don't think that this has really gone up. It has literally been, I'm looking at the graph right now. It was up at about $90. There was a couple, the first back in July when it first came out, there was some sales around 100, 112. And then after that, it dropped down this is Black Bolt, dropped down to $85. And it has literally been consistently selling at $85 on TCG Player since looks like the end of the first week of August. So it has had no movement. Absolutely zero. You can probably look at the same thing for White Flare. So let's pull open a White Flare Elite Trainer box as well. Personally, the best thing that could happen to this set is no reprint. I think that there's plenty of it out there. There's not enough interest, and people have already moved on way past this at this point in time. Let's see. So let's go to the White Flare. So the White Flare right now, we'll open that Elite Trainer box. So if we go to White Flare, it looks like it's the exact same story. So for the last, we had some sales around 110, 112, all the way up until the August 6th. At August 6th, it dropped down to $78, and it has literally consistently been about $78 to $80. So it has been absolutely flat. And black and white is not a popular era of the Pokemon TCG. I know every time I say that, someone comes into the comments, someone comes in the chat and says, you're wrong, it's great. It's just not. I mean, there's not very many Pokemon in that era that people are really chasing. And that's a factor as well. You could give every card an illustration rare, but if there aren't very many very popular Pokemon in that era, it does not matter. It does not change the fact that the set is going to perform any better. I mean, you look through the illustration, whereas, I mean, Blitzel, maybe, you know, Bouffalant. I mean, the one that I know is actually doing really well. Yeah, it's a Reshiram or Zekrom or Bust set. I like Chandelure. I think out of all the black and white set, the Litwick, the Litwick, the Chandelure line is definitely the one that I enjoy. I think that's I've always liked Chandelure. I think it's a really cool Pokemon. But other than that, I mean, you can go through the starters maybe. You know, the starters might be something that people will be desirable over time. But I hate to say it, there's just not a lot of fan favorite Pokemon in the black and white era. I mean, Frillish. I mean, how many people are going Frillish? Forthrone. I mean, nobody's really jumping at it. Garbodor. I mean, realistically, there's just not a lot to it. And that's the sad thing about it is that they picked, to me, they should have done this like 151. They could do this with another set, you know, pick another generation. If they would do this with the XY generation, can you imagine if they did this with a mega set? You know, it would be absolutely gigantic to have an illustration rare SIR for every single card inside the set. But black and white was not the set to do it with. Lampet, that's the other one. So Litwick, Lampet, and Chandelure, I think are really, really good. So, but once again, you know, Jacob, if you're going to sit there and give every Pokemon a illustration rare, there has to be a reason that people are going to want that illustration rare. I mean, Kaleido is one that's doing really well. Once again, it's a unicorn. It's doing well. That's what, your second highest one? Otherwise, most of them are sub $10. You know, Litwick is another one. That's a $15 card. I'm looking through all the cards right now. So if I go to the most expensive ones, yeah. 151 style, I think that would have been fantastic. OG Weedle Farm. I agree. I think a 151 doing that would have been that would have been huge if we would have given each one of the Glaring Birds a SIR, you know, given Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos an SIR. You did every single 151 Pokemon with an illustration rare in that set. It would have been that set, you would be talking way more money than what you are right now. They would not have been able to print enough 151 if they did the black and white set in the 151. Put the Master Balls in it too. Put the Japanese version Master Balls into 151, but that they could get in the Japanese version if they would have done that in 151 with an illustration rare of every single Pokemon from 151 and SIRs for all of the main ones. So Mewtwo, Mew, you know, all those ones. You would have, anybody, I don't think you could have comprehended the price of 151 if they would have done that to that set. So the problem is like I said, it's just 151 does not have the popularity behind, or black and white does not have the popularity behind it. I mean, there are some Pokemon that are going to do well. Vision's doing well. I'm looking through right now, Black Bolt. They're all staying consistently right around that, right where they've been. The prices aren't going up on any of them. The pricing is staying just absolutely flat. Last 6 months, Litwick, for example, a Litwick card on release was $13. Today it is $13. There's no price change, right? We can almost go to, let's just say, the only ones that we've really seen real price changes is, of course, the monochrome card has come down, I believe, in price. So yeah, it was like $460. Today it is $350. So we've seen the Reshiram come down in price in white. This is White Flare. Chandelure has been absolutely flat. Once again, I knew that that was a $45 card. It's a $45 card. There's no price variations. There's no changing in the price of these cards. They are just flatlined. They are dead. And there's no movement up or down. They are just absolutely, if you look at it, you would think that the patient's dead on all of these cards. The Victini now, too. Let's just look at that. The Victini on release, $500. Today, $400. It's been $400 now. Let me get the raw since October. Absolute flatline. Has not moved. So it's just one of the things. It's a flatline set right now. There's no movement in it. The ETBs are flatlined. The singles are flatlined. It's a dead patient. The thing is dead on the table right now. We are not seeing anything to show any life in black and white. Let's see here. Temporal Forces reprint. I'd love it. Yeah, I think it'd be good. I think we could use the Temporal Forces reprint. There's still the problem is the Temporal Forces. I just don't think the ancient future Pokemon are going to catch on. So it'd be nice to have some of it, just because it'd be nice to open it again and have some stock. But in general, I don't think that there's really a big push for it to come back either. So here's the one question that I wanted to hit, which is Jacob put on here. What's your take on the PSA drama? So I talked about it a little bit on Sunday, but I was going to talk about it tonight. We'll touch base with it now. The PSA drama, to me, a lot of people are really pushing a narrative that's making it sound worse than what it really is. So I think that if you take a step back and get away from the Instagram discussion, you get away from the people that are calling them a scam, calling them, frauds, calling them all these things. Let's take a step back and look at the evidence itself. And if you go to the Instagram post, to me, there was a clerical error. They made a mistake and some people are going to come back in the comments and probably have their own opinion on this. But if you look at the actual evidence, you look at the pictures of where he bought back the PSA 9s. If you look at the cert number where he bought back a PSA 9 for $35, the picture was a PSA 10. Pokemon or PSA accidentally put them all as PSA 9, even though they graded some a 10. That's where the mistake happened. It wasn't that they purchased them from him and then went and regraded them higher. Put the same cert number. Let's be honest. Any idiot would know that they couldn't do that. Even PSA knows that they couldn't do that. I mean, they're more intelligent than to do something that stupid. They would just issue it a new cert number if they were going to do that. They wouldn't keep the cert number the same. The problem is, though, is that I would suggest anybody that's doing the PSA buyback program for a 9s or less, make sure that they're graded a 9. That would be the moral of the story. I think that PSA screwed up. They put the wrong pricing, so they asked him to buy back a PSA 9, but the picture on next to the next to the buyback with the cert number that he's saying is the same was a 10. PSA could have caught it. I think the PSA should have caught that and contacted him as a mistake, number one. And number two, he should have also probably looked at the pictures. That's going to be my suggestion is that if it was me, I look at the pictures of all of my PSA cards. I always check the labels on the images that they send when I send through PSA. He seems to have not done that, the person that had this happen to them. And basically, when he bought them back, he did not look at the pictures. He must not have looked over the pictures. And basically, they came back as 10s, but PSA accidentally or intentionally, I mean, I don't know what PSA did. My assumption is someone screwed up and accidentally did that. The odds of only getting 9s back is wild. They weren't all 9s, though. That's the problem, Jacob. And that's the issue is that, yeah, I would have checked the pictures. I probably would have wanted the cards back. I get where his point is and his stance is that he just didn't want to deal with it, is what he claims. And I get that. I mean, if I got all 9s on, 30 cards, I probably would have been like, yeah, I don't really want to even see these things. I'd be pretty ticked off. Personally, I would have taken the time to at least look through the images of them, because I do every time, no matter how big the order is, I look through all the images of it, and I would have caught that, hey, these are 10. Yeah, no 9s either, but there were 9s and 10s. So he did. The images show 10s. They were sold to him as 9, but the image of the card is 10. So he did get 10s. The pictures were 10s. When they offered him and told him the buyback, they offered him to him as 9s. So the mistake is that PSA tried to buy him back too cheap by offering the buyback for a 9, even though the card was a 10. He didn't look at the pictures to see that they were 10s. So the question is how much of that was fraud? Yeah, he got 10s. They were graded 10s. The pictures showed 10s. He just didn't look at the pictures. And the pictures, basically, they offered him for everything as a 9. They didn't offer him. I think that there were a total I think someone pointed out that if you look through the actual number or look through the pictures of what he said were the certs that Pokemon, or that, I keep saying Pokemon, that PSA was selling, they are the same. The pictures are the 10s that he got. So you can track it back to, if you look at the pictures for the ones that PSA was reselling at a 10, were actually pictured as a 10. Now, I absolutely think that PSA absolutely screwed the pooch. Number one, they lowballed someone, whether it was accidental or intentional. They lowballed it with a cert number, and you can't tell me that when they went to go relist that card that they didn't catch that. That they didn't say, shit, we screwed up, and we offered them a 9, we screwed up. I guess if your company has integrity and you accidentally sold it for a 9, a PSA 9, and you're going to relist that same cert number as a PSA 10, and you're looking at the profit loss on that, and you're going, wait a minute, why is this the same price as a 9? It should have gone through the system and it should have been caught. And PSA, if they had integrity, should have contacted him and gone, hey, we screwed up. These 8 cards were actually 10s. I think there was like 6 or 8 of them that were 10s. We screwed up. We offered you 9. You took the 9 offer, but these were actually 10s. So we will either A, give you the money for the 10, or B, we will send you the 10s and you refund us the money. That's where I would say is the difference on that part of it. So to me, I think that if there was integrity, they would have done that, because you can't tell me they didn't realize it. But on the other hand, I could see where the error came from. And my suggestion is to anybody that's, hey Taco, anybody that's purchasing through PSA, check the images. Look at the images. I look at the images because, number one, I'm looking for like labeling issues, errors. I'm looking for, making sure to see the 9s and 10s. I like to look over the cards themselves. So if I get lower than what I think, I like to look over the cards in the slabs and see if I'm seeing or if there's anything that I missed. But the moral of the story is, I think that due diligence on his part, the person who graded them, the grader or the grader, I don't, how do you want to say that? The person that graded, I think, would be to look over the images and be sure that the cards are right and make sure that the images match what they're offering you. But the other part of it is that PSA should have had the integrity to say, hey, we screwed up. We know our system says we offered you a 9. We're not going to resell this as a 10. We're going to contact you and say, hey, we screwed up. We did a 9. It's actually a 10. Do you want the money to go to a 10, or do you want the card? It's up to you. We'll work with you on that. That would have been what I would have, as a company, I think it should have been done. Whether or not, obviously they didn't do that. They just let her fly and hope that it would get by, is what I kind of feel that PSA did on that one. So yeah, that it's a really interesting, confusing situation. Is it really fraud? It depends on the intent. Once again, I don't work at PSA. I'm not a police officer. I'm not an investigator. I don't know what PSA's intent was in it. If it was accidental, and it's an accidental problem, then you can't say that there was intent to do fraud. But if it was intentional and there was proof and they can prove that it was intentional, then absolutely it's fraud, 100%. If you intentionally try and do that and get it by, then it's fraudulent. So it's really up to what the intent was on PSAs. If it was an accident, a clerical error, all of these things are a factor as well. Hey, DJ Poke Center, welcome on in. So I think it's an interesting case. I'm going to be really interested to see how this all plays out. There is definitely the side that is really pushing the fraud side of it. I think it was less fraud and more of just a clerical error. Someone misentered the information for the buyback side of things, and that's where it then, of course, became everything a 9. For me, if I sent in 30 cards and everyone came back a 9, I would be very, very skeptical of that, and I really would have probably brought those cards back and been like, "Hey, what's going on? I want to see these cards in person before I sell these things, because I don't get how I got all 9s on these cards. The chances, if you're sending 30 cards and you do any pre-grading on them, the chances of getting all 9s on 30 cards of the exact same card is very, very low. You would think, if anything, you'd get all 9s and a couple 8s if you were off and you're hoping, but you would think you'd see a scattering of 9s and 10s, or you'd see a scatterings of 8s and 9s, maybe an occasional 8, 9, and 10, but to see everything 9, I would have been really, really skeptical, and really been looking through those photos, number one, or number two, I would have wanted those cards back to personally go over them and really look them over before I just said, yeah, no, I'm going to sell these off. So I think it's kind of a double fault in a way. I think it's more on PSA's fault at this point in time. I think that there's definitely, I don't think, I don't think there was intent by PSA to deceive. I think it was a mistake, but PSA didn't make the correction that I think that they should have. I know that at some point, someone in that company, which is where you could say that's where the fraudulent part might have happened, is they knew they did something wrong. They saw that they sold it as a 9, and then they listed that same card as a 10. You would think that the system would see that, or someone would have seen that with the listings. And that's where the fraudulent part maybe you could pull out of, but it's really hard to say how their system works too. Once again, I don't know how the system works, but obviously someone had to have changed it from a 9, because if they're doing the buyback as a 9 and someone says yes, you would think it would go into the bin as a 9 and they would sell it as a 9. Even if it's a 10, you think they would accidentally sell it as a 9. So someone made the update in the system to sell it as a 10 when they bought it back as a 9. So regardless, somewhere right there is where you could probably put the intent for the fraud part of it, that they fraudulently did that. But there again, I don't know if their system is, the buyback system is here, you buy them back, they go back in the bin, and then someone takes them out of the bin and relists them and pulls the information. I don't know on that. That's the weird thing is that I don't know how their computer system happened. So it still could have been unintentional, just because they pulled the cert number, and the cert number, depending on how the buyback system works. Maybe the buyback system is someone's internally doing that, and it's not based on the cert, but the resale side and the actual machines are all based. I don't know. To me, there's something weird in that part of it, but I think it was more, I feel like it was more accidental at that point. Hey, Team Rocket Joey, welcome on in. Horizon's in here as well. Thank you so much. So my feeling is I think there's still more to come on the situation, and I don't think that the story is quite complete on it. This is why sometimes I think it's better to let some of the stuff kind of roll a little bit. And when I was looking on the images on Saturday, it was one of the things that I noticed, and I saw someone on Sunday morning actually put that statement out there too, that the picture in the cert, so his buyback picture, it says 10 on it. The picture's right. It's just the offer was wrong. So yeah, I don't know. It's a really weird situation. I don't know where it's going to roll, but I'm sure there'll be more people really, really looking into it, and maybe more people have this issue, and then we'll really get a bigger picture of it as well as more people kind of jump into it. We might be getting more information as time passes. Horizon says, here we go. Jacob says, the fact he managed to only get back the 9s, not the 10, is strange too. Yeah, the whole situation just seems like a computer error, but I just don't know how all of it would have played out. Horizon says, GameStop will find a way to ruin the entire hobby. Looking forward to future government regulations coming in after major lawsuit over gambling power packs. GameStop is a professional mafia company. You know, that's the thing is that I honestly, I'm kind of curious to know. So I heard rumors, is there actually a lawsuit out right now for those the gambling side of those things, because I know some places were talking about the fact that that is literally gambling, because it is a monetary gamble. So you pay a price like a lottery ticket, and there's a potential for a monetary gain. So all of these mystery packs, guys, I know that there's been talks about potential lawsuits on these mystery packs, and the reasoning being is basically you are gambling. It is honestly a version of gambling at the end of the day, and it truly does mean so. Booster packs, the company doesn't put a monetary gain on it. So, for example, a booster pack, you can't get a booster pack. Pokemon's not going to give you a monetary gain on this card, right? So, and this is where you're running that gray area. Pokemon does not buy, sell, or trade Pokemon cards, right? They sell booster packs. They sell a product, a booster pack. The secondary market decides the value of this pack, correct? Pokemon doesn't buy back Pokemon cards. You can pull the best card out of there, and Pokemon ain't going to give you anything for it. You cannot sell back to Pokemon International. They do not want the singles back. They don't buy singles. They don't do anything. They just sell a packed product. And this is a trading card game. This is a game. This is not a monetary card set to the Pokemon TCG. They don't go by monetary secondary value of these things. Mystery packs, and where a lot of mystery pack companies are coming in the problems, especially GameStop, and this is where it came up, is they are selling you a product. So they are taking, and I don't know if I got one. Usually I got some mystery product, but I don't think I have any around. So basically, they are selling you a mystery product, and they are selling it to you for $100. So you're buying a $100 pack with the chance of a card that they will buy back at a higher rate or based on market. So you are essentially buying a lottery ticket. You are literally that is the definition of gambling, when the company that sells you the pack will give you money higher than that pack value. Pokemon does not do that. This is a product. This is the end of the line. A booster pack is the end of the line for Pokemon International. They don't have any value. They will not buy them back. It's the secondary market that buys them back. That's not gambling. When you have a mystery product, a mystery box, or those mystery things, them virtual mystery boxes online, where you're buying a product at $100 with the opportunity for them to buy back a product at $900 and you make monetary gain, that's gambling. You are now gambling. Literally, you are doing a lottery ticket. Some you win, some you lose, but you're gotta gamble. That is the definition of gambling. Mystery packs are so lame, literally scam made for children. Exactly, and it's gambling made for children as well. That's the other part of it too, is that I heard that someone is actually suing the mystery pack companies, and it's going to get kind of hairy because there's a lot of the virtual ones that are on this docket, and there are also a lot of like GameStop and those style mystery packs that are on that. MJ Holding is another one where someone would make the argument, do the mystery gem, boxes. Would those meet the qualifications? And I would say no, because MJ Holding doesn't buy back the cards, right? They buy back bulk through other sources, but they don't really buy back the graded cards. They don't do that. So the end product for them is the mystery box. It could have something more expensive in it. It's the same as a mystery box, but then you'd have to sell it into another market in order to get that money. GameStop is doing it direct, right? You pay online for something and you get money back immediately sometimes for those. And a lot of these virtual ones are that way. It's not just GameStop. There are a lot of virtual, like mystery box virtual, where they'll offer buybacks. And if you're offering buybacks, you're actually essentially, it's a lottery ticket. You're meeting the definition of gambling. So that's where I think that there's going to be very interesting things to come on that. And how it turns out futuristically will really depend on a court, I think, on what the line is for gambling versus, just purchasing an end user product and having to sell in the secondary market. If you're selling it, and let's just say, like I said, Pokemon, that's where a booster pack is kind of in the clear, is they don't buy it back. They don't care what the value, what the essential value is of this card. I don't see any current lawsuits, but I expect one down the line, at which Big Brother steps in and destroys us all. I don't think they're going to destroy us all. I think you're going to really, really get into that. And I know that's, I heard someplace, and maybe it was Reddit. I was reading a post about it. How that was really a real question, was that how do virtual boxes work and not be considered gambling? How do these companies not have gambling licenses in order to do that? You can't do it in a video game. Like, what are we doing? You can't do it in a video game. I guess, what do you mean by that, Jacob? Like, what are we doing? But yeah, I mean, it's, there's lines. I mean, there really are lines. And MJ Holding, to me, doesn't cross the line. If you buy a mystery gem or one of the mystery packets, they don't buy directly from an individual. You can't go and pull the best, you can't pull a PSA 10 Charizard out of a mystery gem box at Walmart and go and sell it back to MJ Holding and them give you the value of that card. No, you're going to have to go to another source and try and source that off. Yeah, the loot, but okay, looting boxes. Yeah, that's exactly part of it as well. If you all look at it in a video game, but basically, if you're doing it virtually and they're offering you more money, where's the line for gambling? I mean, that really is. You're basically scratching a scratch-off ticket in hopes of getting $1,000 prize. Buy a $50 scratch-off ticket, hit $1,000 prize, and then they buy it back at $950, but you get instant compensation of $950. That's gambling. That literally is the definition of gambling. So I could see if someone wanted to, if you wanted to really disrupt GameStop right now at this point in time, and some of these online virtual scalpers or these mystery products, I would honestly look at that definition. You could probably find a lawyer. You probably could have a case if you knew a lawyer that was willing to work with you. Point, I guess the problem is at what end. You'd almost have to find a prosecutor or a district attorney that would be willing to take on that case and look it through. But yeah, if you knew a good district attorney in your area that you wanted to point out, or a federal district attorney or a federal attorney that wanted to take a look at that, I think it's plausible. I think it's gambling. Personally, I think a lot of these mystery boxes where they buy back, like I watched that one, there's one YouTuber, what's his name? Sits there and opens hundreds of them boxes online trying to go up on them. I mean, it's like watching him at a slot machine. It literally looks like a slot machine because he sits there and opens one. And, oh, I'm up $100. Oh, I'm down $50 on this one. So I'm up 50 still. Oh, that one's a really bad one. I'm down by $10 now. Oh, I hit a good one. I'm up by $200 now. The guy literally sits there and it's like a slot machine. Every one he opens, it's a slot machine. And it's like, dude, this is gambling. This is like literally watching you at a casino right now on this thing, opening these things. So, did anyone enjoy the Sam's drop of 4 151 tins tonight? They were swooped up by bots in 30 seconds. I tried to open it while I was sitting here. You saw me look down. No, I didn't even. It never got in. It's generally disturbing seeing Pokemon being used like a slot machine. It is. To me, that bothers me. You know, if you join in a rip and ship and you're getting product and you're, doing that kind of stuff, I don't see a problem with that. To me, it's still gambling in a way, but in terms, you're taking and opening booster packs. If you're going to buy them yourself or you buy them from your favorite streamer to do it, it is what it is. I mean, realistically, that's just you supporting someone that you might enjoy that does a good job for opening. If you come to my streams and you just enjoy opening and want to try and shoot for the chase cards and the sets, and you'd buy the packs anyways, and you're buying it through me instead, that's fine. To me, I don't have a problem with that. I don't like it when people start taking advantage of them, where you're starting to see them raise the prices, 2x the price of the normal market because of their name. I don't like that. But if you're just coming and, like, for example, I'm selling Phantasmal Flames for $750. So if you were to go to TCG Player right now, you're going to pay $750 for it. If I open it for you and I send you the cards, who cares? To me, you're just buying packs and having someone else open them. Fine and dandy. That's absolutely fine to me. That to me, if If you're going to take the gambling of opening packs, but you're paying someone else to do it, that's not an issue. It's when you're buying these mystery products and doing them like slot machines. That's when I start to really see this being the hobby becoming very toxic at that point. Is when I watch content creators literally sit there and act like this is a slot machine. They're buying, $100 a shot trying to get the next best card. And it's like, okay, pull the lever. Ah, darn it, I didn't get a good one on that one. Okay, I lost $100 on that one. Let me put another $100 in the slot machine. Okay, well that one I hit. Good, I'm up $200. I'm gonna take that $200. I'm gonna buy another one. Hit the lever. It really does. It feels like it's toxic to me. That's the epitome of giving someone the ability of unregulated gambling at that point in time. And I don't know how these companies get away with it. I do think it's only a matter of time until we get that. Yeah, and that's just it. If you're opening packs for somebody, you're a proxy. I don't mind being a proxy. I don't see a problem with anybody being a proxy. It's when you become gambling and become toxic by doing it. If you're doing giveaways and things like that and having fun, why not? I mean, we do giveaways on the channel too. For every $125 we sell, we do a giveaway. 3 people take a chance. We have some fun, and do it that way. To me, absolutely fine. I don't see problems with that. Being a proxy is not a problem. It's when you start taking advantage of the market and using your pull to take advantage of your clientele, number one. And then the other part of it is that when you start seeing like that, where people are just making slot machines pretty much. Drip Sales Live, it's one of the reasons I kind of got away from Drip Sales Live as well, is I didn't mind using it for a little bit that I was on it, but then they started doing these pull boxes and stuff like that, where basically it's the same thing. You do a pull box, you hit the pull box, and it gives you the offer to buy back at 50% of the value. So we won't ship you the card if it's something you don't want, and it just goes right back into the pull box for the next person to take a shot at it. It's like, that's gambling. You're gambling again. You're literally meeting the definition of pull the handle on the slot machine. So you really need to make that decision on where your line is. I think at some point in time that line is going to be drawn in the sand by a court. I think somebody's gonna take this up. Someone's gonna lose big and lose a lot of money and financially be in debt like gambler, and it's going to move forward to a court, because that person's going to end up suing or bringing it up that, hey, I lost all this money in gambling and I didn't go to a casino. I didn't go to a regulated gambling place, but it was easily promoted online and there's no age restriction on this. Horizon says, although it has been known that big Pokemon influencers get free product from Pokemon Company to open to push product. It is. And they're loaded boxes too. We know that. Leonhardt always opens. Leonhardt, PokeRev, all them guys, and that's why they won't talk anything bad about Pokemon. But you do know that they are getting loaded boxes. So Leonhardt always gets the big hits out of his boxes. Pokemon's loading them up to promote the next product or the next set coming out. And once again, that's building hype. That's not abnormal. Companies will do that all the time. That's a promotional move, is use your influencers, use your promoters to push that. Once again, to me, that's just standard business practice. And I know some people are going to go, well, once again, you got to draw a line somewhere. To me, gambling is a line that can be very detrimental to someone. An influencer getting a loaded, fairly heavy box of hits, it promotes the product. It's going to get hype and going. It's going to get the hype going. It's helping not just the influencers. It's helping Pokemon International. It's helping LGSs. It's helping, MJ Holy. It's helping all the companies that sell the products. So in a way, I get it. I mean, I know why they do it, and that's just, to me, a standard sales technique. So I'm a little bit. I don't like it. I think it's still a little bit on the cringe side that that they're doing it. But on the other hand, I know why they do it, and I'm okay with that compared to the gambling situations personally. Jacob says, it's gonna happen to a streamer eventually. They will have a crazy crash out losing thousands. I know. And that's where I think the problem's gonna happen. Someone's gonna lose hundreds of thousands of dollars, be hundreds of thousands of dollars on debt in credit cards, and basically end up they're going to end up in bankruptcy for doing it, as a gambler would. They're going to completely burn their life savings on these gambling that is unregulated, and they're going to come back and they're going to go after these guys for it. Horizon not trying to send this stream down dark territory, but there is a lot of predatory behavior going on in the hobby right now. There is. We're getting into the dark side of the hobby currently, I feel. I don't like to say that, but currently when you start getting the shift in the market where things are getting slower, it's a little bit more difficult to sell product. It's a little bit slower to sell product. The predatory nature starts to come out. People try to start taking advantage to try and maximize the profits. And that's all ways to do it, right? And that's the opportunities that people are taking and the potentials, risks that are currently going to continue to develop. I mean, they're always there, but as this market continues to change, they're going to show up more and more as well. So it could become even more detrimental. So I would suggest being very careful out there for the next few months until either the market starts to recover and we start seeing greener as we get closer to 30th. It might shift as well. But I definitely think that it's going to be a very interesting climate. And I think after this hype and FOMO kind of dies a little bit, we might be seeing some regulations and some things happening as well. I think eventually we're going to see someone step in, a government, a state, whether it's the federal or a state government's going to step in and start doing something to inhibit some of the stuff, the actions that are happening, these unregulated actions. And it's not just Pokemon. The problem is it's not just Pokemon this is happening in. You could apply this to Magic the Gathering. You can apply this to sports cards, which is a huge market for that as well, which is actually stemming. A lot of this stuff is coming from that sports market into the other hobbies that are actually profitable by doing so. So sports cards have been doing this for longer than we have been in our territory. It's just becoming more toxic and more prevalent here in our end of the thing. So, all right, guys, I didn't realize it's already been an hour and 15 minutes, so we are way over time. Thank you, Horizon and Jacob, for the good conversation. Taco, thank you so much for stopping in as well. Team Rocket, Joey, and DJ Poke Center. Hopefully you guys are all doing well here in this week, and have a great week for the remainder of it as well. It's we're getting a little bit of a storm here, but hopefully you guys have a great week and be safe out there. Horizon just says, I called GameStop about Pokemon products, and they have it, but it's on their shelves for the same price as scalpers. Yeah. Well, that was just it. So, for example, this box. I hated buying this box. I'm not going to lie. I got this at GameStop. They were available on the shelf. I think it's stupid that this is $170. It's a UPC. The Greninja box was $120. The exact same style box. This one, $170. And the Charizard UPCs, they're still sitting at GameStop because they're $199. They're $170 right now on TCG Players. So right now, GameStop is actually more expensive than the scalpers. And that happened basically too because the market, they priced it at the market at the time, and the market's continued to drop, but they don't change. So I talked to the store manager here for GameStop and asked them, so when do you set the pricing? And basically they're told that they set the pricing when the product comes in. So when they get the product, whatever the market is at that time, that's what they price it at. So the Charizard UPC, right now you can get it on TCG Player for $175. At GameStop right now, it's $199.99, so $200. So you can get it cheaper on TCG Player. They're more expensive than the scalpers. And that's why that UPC is still sitting on the shelf at GameStop currently right now. There's probably about 25 of them sitting on my GameStop shelf right now. They're not moving. People aren't buying. The other one was the Prismatic figurine collection. I'm looking it up right now where that one is right now. So the Prismatic premium figurine collection is another one. They were selling it for $119.99. Right now you can buy it on TCG Player for $114.99. So, once again, it's cheaper to get it there, and that's still sitting on the shelf at GameStop. Or the best part is that if you go and look at the MSRP of that one, I believe it's only $180 for this one. Or $80, sorry, not $180. MSRP. So, if you were to get this thing, I'm just looking it up just to make sure I give you the right MSRP. So if you bought this at GameStop, it was $79.99, so $80. So it's an $80 product that GameStop is currently selling for $120. Charizard UPC, $120, $119.99 MSRP. They're selling it at $200 on $199.99. So I don't agree with that either. I think some of these places like GameStop and stuff need to get checked. And honestly, I don't know how you do it. I mean, you'd have to regulate everything. And once again, I'm not a big regulation type of guy. But on the other hand, when you're being predatory about it, it becomes more of a problem at that point in time. So I definitely think that there's going to be some long-term ramifications coming. I just don't know what they're going to be. I think it's going to be someone's going to go really far in debt gambling on these mystery boxes, these virtual mystery products and things like that. And I think that that's really going to be the time when when things are going to shift badly. So, well, guys, thank you, everybody. Once again, greatly appreciate for everybody who joined in. Thank you so much, Jacob and Horizon, for all the comments and the discussion on that. I mean, it was darker, but sometimes the darker comments need to come out and the conversation needs to be had. So thank you so much for bringing it up, Horizon. Greatly appreciated. Once again, Jacob, good points with the PSA and what's happening currently there. If you guys know any other information on the PSA situation, go ahead and put it in the comments. I think that it's more still to come on that, and if more individuals start seeing that this occurred to them, that's when we're going to really see if things are going to go differently at that point in time. So otherwise, guys, thank you everybody for joining in. Make sure you guys hit that like button before you leave. Hit that subscribe if you're new here, and hit that notify so you know when we're doing new things and on the channel. I do have to get a hold of Terry Lake. I'm going to see if next week, maybe Tuesday, we can get Terry Lake on here as well, having a conversation about the sales and the Pokemon TCG and the backside of things. Have another conversation with another content or another creator out there. It's really good. I like bringing in the creators and having a conversation. And thank you, DJ Poke Center, for having me on the other night as well. Greatly appreciate it. It was short. I didn't realize you'd been on for so long, but glad I got a chance to jump in and meet on your stream as well and just have a little bit of a discussion there at the end also. And hopefully you do that again. It will be fun to catch it a little bit earlier the next time. So other than that, make sure you guys follow DJ Poke Center. Once again, a great content creator right now, growing in the Pokemon TCG. Otherwise, make sure you hit the like button before you leave. And hopefully we see you next time here on Northwoods TCG.